Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Hearts have made contact with Newcastle about appointing Ian Cathro as their new manager, with Austin McPhee as his assistant. Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers wants his team to put on a good performance in their final Champions League fixture against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. And is the writing on the wall for St Mirren in the Championship? We'll discuss that in the company of Gordon Smith and our bootroom guest Mark Guidi. Great to have you lads along with us. We'll look back over the weekend's results as well, but I don't think any great surprise this week. Hearts have made their move. They want Ian Cathro and Austin McPhee. We've also had him as a guest in the studio on the programme. Mark, this is the duo they think can take the club forward.
Yeah, they're deep in negotiations with both, and they're hoping to get them over the line at some point tonight. Peter, bold appointment. Certainly Ian Cathro has got a good reputation within the game, but he hasn't managed at first team level. But by all accounts, he has the qualities to go and do that. The squad at Hearts are an intelligent bunch. They'll take in what he's saying, they'll follow instructions, and it's just a case of keeping them ticking along and adding bits and bobs here. And if he gets Austin McPhee alongside him, he's only 37, 38 years old. Peter, he's worked with Mike O'Neill at Northern Ireland. He's helped them get to the Euros. He knows his stuff, and he's a man in demand because the SFA want him to be the performance director as well. So he's sitting with two excellent choices at the moment. Yeah,
I mean, it's bold. I agree with what Mark says. It's brave. It's certainly something that I think will be right under the microscope. You know, Ian Cathro comes with a good pedigree. Austin McPhee, as I mentioned on the programme, we certainly enjoyed listening to his insight into the game. I think the only downside to it is how the players respond to it. If they respond positively, then, you know, everyone's a winner at Tynecastle.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen that my experience in football management and with players, it's a chemical reaction between a bunch of players and the manager. Doesn't necessarily take into account whether the manager's got great experience, a good manager. It's how those players react to that person, because we see it a lot of times when a manager leaves and somebody else comes in, he gets a better reaction from the players, and I think that will be the same case. I've already seen negativity towards the appointment of Ian Cathro, and I think it's very unfair, because I think, you know, the guy he started off, he's obviously devoted to learning about the game. He started off just doing the technical side for the kids at Dundee United. That's where Craig Levein first saw him, but he's moved on since then, and he's been in Portugal, he's been in Spain, he's been in Newcastle, high level. He's picking up his knowledge of the game and improving things, and I'm sure because he hasn't been a player, he'll probably have worked very hard at understanding how the game works at different levels, what you've got to do with players, the man management side of it. So I think you've got to give these guys a chance, and I think, you know, it's very brave decision by Hearts, but I don't see why there's anything wrong with it.
Listen, I'm fully backing them on the brave decision, Mark. I did think that the players could be the first chemical reaction you get on this, and looking at the professionalism of it, I think they'll get all the help that they will need from Craig Levein as well, and his experience. The other downside to it as well, which they won't be accustomed to, is you know, the criticism on a weekly basis. You know, being open to having to deal with you know, so many aspects of running a football club, and being involved and having to deal with negativity, having to deal with players who, you know, have various things that can befall a player in his career. All of that out in the public eye will take a bit of getting used to as well, but ultimately they'll be judged on the results.
You're right, Peter. You know, first and foremost, he is the main man. He will be the main focus of the football club, Ian Cathro, at 30 years old, so that's something new. He'll have to adjust to it, he'll have to embrace it, and have to show that he's up to it behind the scenes. He gets on quietly with his job, and he's got a hard act to follow in Robbie Neilson, but he's inheriting a squad in second place. He's inheriting a stadium that's full, that there's plenty of enthusiasm with the Hearts supporters. They're embracing the appointment, so he's starting off the good foot. There's been negativity towards him in the media. That happens with all appointments. He can overcome that, but what he'll do is, if you're a player, the players can smell bull pretty quickly, and they can see if somebody's going to help them. And if you're a player and you think, you know what, this guy's got something, I want to work with him. At the moment, I'm at Hearts. With all respect to Hearts, I'm earning £1,000 a week. This time next year, I want to be earning £2,000 a week, and I want to be down south. this guy can help me do that. This guy can improve my game. This guy will make me work extra, will make me do this, he'll make me do that. So Ian Cathro will get in there and give those guys an opportunity to better themselves, and ultimately in any walk of life, that's what you want to do.
I'm so glad, Mark, you abbreviated it to Bull. It just kept the programme on air. Let's look at one last aspect of it, Gordon, which is quite simply that, you know, Ian Cathro, like Austin McPhee, young manager and assistant, if they do indeed get them over the line. There's been plenty before who haven't had a pedigree playing at the top level, and even Eddie Howe got his career cut short working wonders at Bournemouth. Mourinho didn't have any great track records, Arrigo Sacchi, so there's lots of people in the back, you know, you can look back in history that haven't necessarily played regularly at the top level that have made successes of a management career.
I think so. I think there are many examples. I don't think it makes any difference whether you've been a manager or a top player or you haven't been. It's your knowledge of the game. Craig Levein is obviously somebody who's very hard to please. Craig Levein's quite a hard figure, and if he's decided that these are the right men for the club, then he must have done a bit of homework on them. He must know something about them. As I say, I think that regardless of whether you've been a top player, because there's good examples of guys who were top players as well who didn't achieve anything in the game. There are many examples of it. So I mean, it's one of these things that they're both intelligent people, the two that look to bring in Austin and Ian Cathro. They're both very bright guys, so they'll have a realisation there's going to be a degree of negativity towards them. There already has been. Some people are already saying it's a ridiculous decision to bring them in, they're not capable of doing it and all that. So they'll know that's going to happen, but you're quite right to say it is a results business, and if results go against them, everybody will say, well, we knew that would happen. It's because these aspects they're not going to experience. If things go well, everybody will say we're quite shocked by it, but you know, we're glad to see it happen, and that's what's going to happen, and they'll have to deal with it. But as I say, they're bright enough to deal with it, I think.
Yep, well, on the evidence of the weekend, I'm still sticking with them to finish second. I did tip Peterhead, incidentally, just in case, if you have a look at them in the division, you'll see how good I am as a tipster.
Tipping who to finish, still to finish second? Who, Hearts?
Hearts to finish second.
They're sitting third at the moment.
Yeah.
You're saying they're not in second place at the moment, though.
No, but I think they will finish second.
Yeah, well, that's right.
You?
No.
No. Okay. Let's keep that argument going through the season. I don't know where he was going.
Ruffy when you need him.
I was exactly. I never thought I'd say I'd miss you. But anyway, I don't know where he was going with that either. Answers on a postcard, but nevertheless, we'll crash on. Literally to Celtic. Champions League, dead rubber. Gordon doesn't really mean anything. He wants Celtic to put in a good performance, Brendan Rodgers.
I think that's what he wants. I think what they'll see, they're sitting there on 2 points at the moment. They look a bit isolated at the bottom. They can't achieve anything from tomorrow night's game other than a win. A victory would be a great result for them. They'll probably get more, I think they'll be more fired up than Man City, because Man City have already qualified. They can't even get first spot, so they're going to be qualifying out a second spot regardless of what happens. And I'm not quite sure whether they'll think this is a worthwhile game in order to play their full team, be up for it, get a result. It might be, because they don't even need the money from it. There's money comes in from picking up points in the Champions League. So I think if anybody's going to be more fired up, it's going to be Celtic, because they'll want to show that they have improved as a team. They're taking things forward. They've put in a great performance at Celtic Park against Man City, and they want to, I think, go down there and not be embarrassed at all and get something from the game. So I think Celtic will be right up for the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, they're showing a bit of mettle about them on the evidence of the game at the weekend against Motherwell. When 2-0 down, you were thinking to yourself, last season under Ronnie Dyler, that game would have been gone. But they're battling back. They end up winning it.
Well, the thing for me that came out of the weekend, Peter, was the flexibility of Brendan Rodgers as a coach. He identified it wasn't going right, and he adjusted accordingly to go and try and win the game. And what was great as well to see was midfielders going beyond the ball. Stuart Armstrong, Callum McGregor going and making a difference, making an impact at the edge of the opposition penalty box. So I agree with Gordon. Celtic will go down there with fire in their bellies, but even if Man City don't put out their full team, Peter, they've still got like 10, 12 fantastic reserve players who'll be ready to come in and do a job.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't like it to be a depleted Manchester City side. I mean, he might give Aguero a rest for obvious reasons, because he's out for 4 games for his American football tackle at the weekend, Chelsea game. Yeah,
it was a shocker, wasn't it? But I think Mark's right, though. I mean, they've got players who are waiting, and maybe in that respect that they might get more out of them, but it's not the normal team. So although there'll be good players getting brought in, it'll be a team of they're getting together maybe for the first time if he makes a few changes, which I think he will, because I say there's nothing at stake for them. What's at stake for Celtic is reputation.
Yep, okay. From the Champions League, we'll look back over the weekend results in the 4 divisions in Scotland, and we'll also be looking at St Mirren there against Queen of the South tomorrow night. We'll look at that game. It's a massive game for Jack Ross's. The Saints become detached at the bottom of the Championship. That all to discuss right after this break. Join us if you can. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV. Gordon Smith and Mark Guidi are with me here in the studio. Motherwell's centre half Steve McManus said he'd be as well handing the title to Celtic now. Maybe a little bit premature. Certainly wouldn't hand it to Aberdeen because they've had a big test in Glasgow over the last 7 days and they've failed miserably.
Yeah, the cup final was a particularly disappointing performance from Aberdeen. There was a chance to go and atone for it on Saturday at Ibrox against a Rangers side that were fragile, against going to a packed Ibrox with Rangers supporters who were possibly ready to pounce on their own because of what had been happening. But Rangers managed to get the result. We spoke about Kenny Miller in the programme last week, and there he was again. Peter, giving his side the lead, just been... his instincts were great to go and get that goal. But for Aberdeen, they have to be doing better. I think they should be at the stage, particularly at Ibrox, where they should be able to go and get a result. And certainly Derek McInnes and his players, the next opportunity that comes along, they'll want to go and do something about that. Yeah,
Mark Reynolds has said he doesn't believe that the Aberdeen team are bottlers. I think sometimes that can be used in a nasty sense. They're just not good enough. I mean, Derek McInnes needs to go and buy players that are, better than what he's got. He needs to ask Stuart Mill if he's got any money in the January transfer window, because there are some players that are just simply not good enough and they can't back it up when it comes to the big games.
I think you're right. I think that the main aspect of what I've seen over the last couple of years is defensively. Peter, I think going forward, Aberdeen are a pretty good side in terms of the sort of creativity they've got in their team. I mean, maybe should get a bit more for at times in midfield when McLean is not consistently enough, turning it on. They've got Hayes and McGinn, who are very creative players. Up front, excuse me, Rooney was getting the goals. Now he's getting challenged for his position. He's been left out. Stockbridge came in and missed. What do you call him? Stockley. Missed a very good chance. Yeah. He really should have scored to put them 1-0 up. So we're looking at that, but defensively they're still a little bit weak, I think. But I think that I would judge Aberdeen now in terms of questioning whether they've got the bottle or not. This has been something that's been aimed at them quite a lot. I would judge them now over the next period that's coming up, because they have 3 home games now, and what you're looking at is saying that if you win your 3 home games, you could be back in second spot. With the other games that the likes of Rangers have got, Hearts have got, for example, playing each other obviously on Saturday. So Aberdeen have got 3 home games now. First one's midweek against Kilmarnock. Yeah. I think is it tomorrow night? Friday night they play Kilmarnock. So they get Kilmarnock to play, and if they win these 3 home games, which they should do, really, when you look at them, then it could be all different.
Yeah, Tuesday, beg your pardon, you're absolutely right. Tuesday was. Can I just put the point to you, though, that you mentioned the back line. I think the striking role needs to be looked at. The boy Stockley's 3 yards out. He's got to burst the net. He heads it wide of the target. Yeah. I mean, that changes games. You're talking about 3 games that they could win against, maybe lesser opposition. Yes. But it's the big games where you need to be clinical. You need to take the 1-2 chances you've got at Ibrox, and suddenly it's a different ball game.
Definitely, I mean, it could have turned the game. You'd think this yourself, Mark, that if Aberdeen get the first goal, because you can imagine what happens then. Rangers get that worry about the fact is that they've had a bad week and a lot of criticism. The players think, oh, wait a minute, is it going to happen again? Yeah. I know myself, psychologically, if Rangers had lost the first goal on Saturday, it could have been a different game, and that was what a chance that was, and even all his teammates have been talking about it. I mean, it was a free header. It wasn't as if it was a challenge header, a good header. Totally free header out, and he missed it from about, as you say, 3 yards out. I mean, as I say, it could be a different game then.
Yeah, and I think it's only right and proper, Mark, we talk about the Rangers players. They deserve tremendous credit. Mark Warburton says the players were irked by the criticism. That comes part and parcel of playing for either half of the Old Firm, but they responded, and that's to their credit, because I didn't fancy them at Ibrox against Aberdeen.
I thought it was a great result for Rangers to bounce back. The performance against Hearts was very, very poor. And you know, one thing you've got to do when you go to Tynecastle, when you've got the Hearts crowd on top of you and the Hearts team that are going fairly well, for me, first and foremost, you roll your sleeves up and you get wired in. And I didn't see that from Rangers. I was shocked at the style of the performance. And again, it goes back to the point about Brendan Rodgers. Mark Warburton has to be more flexible.
Yeah.
And he's not. And that will become his undoing if he doesn't address that. But on Saturday, it was a terrific performance. Great bottle. Kenny Miller, Lee Hodgson coming in again, driving forward. And to be fair to Mark Warburton, he made changes. He left out some guys that normally would expect to play.
Yeah.
So he was bold, he was brave, because he knew had they not won on Saturday, he would be under pressure.
I think you're right. 5 changes as well, but then the other one was that Tavernier came in later on into midfield and did quite well in there, and that might be more of a position that's suited to him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because
he can't defend.
He's not a good defender, and Hodgson is a good defender. And then once again, Hodgson not only is a better defender, he actually scores the what turned out to be the winning goal.
Yeah, let's have a look at all the results from the weekend in the Premiership. There you have it. And with those results in mind, I'm still at a loss to think who is going down. It is so tight at the bottom of the Premiership. Kilmarnock got a win. There you can see Inverness. They've been struggling of late as well. Partick Thistle getting a 1-1. You were at that game as well. It's so tough to call who's going to be in the playoff or even relegated.
Well, it tells you there, Peter, 3 points between 7 sides. But isn't it great for our league that nobody is detached?
Yes.
Every manager's kept his job and they're all in the hunt. But as we come to the winter break, most teams will play 5 games between now and the winter break at the start of January, and I think we'll have a clearer picture by then, and then it's all about what they do in the January window.
One of the things you always look at, Mark, and we talk about this a lot, Peter, on the show, is momentum. And teams, a lot of them, it keeps changing as how they're moving position. Look at Kilmarnock suddenly went top 6 by winning, but the one team whose the momentum is negative at the moment is Inverness. Inverness are on a bad run again. They started the season badly, came back from it, but now you look at the results, and that was a pretty heavy defeat, considering the fact if you look at general results, St Johnstone don't normally win many games at home, and they don't win many games comfortably at home, and yet they did on Saturday. And I think Inverness, I know they've struck the bottom, there's only 3 points of a gap, but they're the team who are losing more games than anybody else.
Okay, let's have a look at the results from the Championship, because there's one screaming out at me, apart from obviously the big one on the Friday night where Dundee United edged it with that Tony Andrew penalty. That's the results. Falkirk 3, St Mirren 1. Suddenly the Championship table has difficult reading for St Mirren fans. They're detached, and they're in action against Queen of the South at Palmerston tomorrow night. What a huge job he has in his hands, Jack Ross.
It's a huge job, Peter, but for me it's now impossible. I don't see St Mirren staying up. I think they're gone. We're almost at the halfway point. 18 games at the halfway point in the Championship. They are well adrift at the moment, and unfortunately, because I've got a genuine soft spot for St Mirren, I don't see them out for it. Bigger picture, what that does to the club, I dread to think, and for the town of Paisley and for the supporters. We've got a lovely stadium, lovely training ground, but next season they're not going to have the personnel that goes with that, and it's a real shame what's happened to St Mirren. But even if they win tomorrow night, Peter, and they'll have to win, but I think they're away. I
think tomorrow night is a key game, because they have a game in hand, as we know that they're 1 game less, which means if you get your game in hand, they can pull up 3 points on it. So they've got to beat Queen of the South. If they don't, they are in trouble. As I say, a great club. I've got a soft spot as well, having been there and worked there at the same time as Mark was there. And even people now, Tony Fitzpatrick's back at the club, general manager. They've got great people running their youth team and all that sort of thing. And I do worry about them, because I say that's a big club that shouldn't be even considering going to the League One, going even down another level.
I would like to mention, just in case anybody is alienating themselves from Gordon and Mark, they have soft spots for other clubs as well, and we'll reveal those soft spots a little later in the year. Just in case.
That's the Christmas panto.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in case people from Greenock are throwing things at the telly right now for these two. Just quickly before we finish, guys, Hibs got a real dunt with Dundee United, drawing level with them at the top of the Championship. I think, as with the Premiership, suddenly it's all about that January transfer window. I looked at the connection with Danny Swanson, Mark. I'm looking at Chris Commons and thinking, what's he doing? I mean, they were interested in him earlier.
Yeah, it's something they might be able to rekindle. It just depends how generous Celtic are willing to be, whether it's a payoff to Chris Commons or how much of the tab Celtic would be willing to pay up, whether it be Hibs or anybody else. There's no doubt Chris Commons will bang the door and try and get away, but you know, you're looking at in excess of 10 grand a week to go and try and get Chris Commons. But you're right, fascinating battle at the top of the table. Great stuff from Neil Lennon, but you've got to give enormous credit to Ray McKinnon and these players for getting going.
Yep. Okay. Thanks to Gordon Smith and Mark Guidi. We are on our way to a night out, hopefully with James Keatings. We spotted James on a night out at the weekend. We're wondering what was happening there. James looking really, really good. He's grown his hair. I just don't know. I don't know if it's a look that we are going to follow much, but nevertheless. You know, he's a mate. We've just got to hang about with him. It's as simple as that. From Mark Guidi, from Gordon Smith, and from myself, Peter Martin. Join us if you can tomorrow night on the programme. It all starts at 7. Good night.